Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. Alan Weber from the Mayor's office on a beautiful Tuesday afternoon. I was walking into City Hall this morning, and on the sidewalk on my way into City Hall, somebody, they didn't sign their work, they didn't take credit for their work, somebody had gathered together the petals from one of the trees into the shape of a heart. And it put a great big smile on my face to see this purple flower petal heart in the middle of the sidewalk on the way into City Hall. So to whoever was the generous person, the thoughtful person, the hopeful person, the empathetic person who left a heart in the middle of the sidewalk of City Hall, I want to say thank you and message received. I took a photograph of it. I'm going to give it to my friend Joe. He'll post a heartfelt message to the whole city of Santa Fe to keep heart, stay strong, keep strong, stay empathetic, and lead with your feelings. Yesterday I got the data for Santa Fe County, another day at 0. That's several days in a row with 0 new cases. That is extraordinary. That is exceptional. It tells me, again, we're on the right track, that everybody is staying the course, staying focused, staying disciplined, keeping a sense of focus on how important this health issue is. There's so many other things we're talking about now. We're talking about how to reopen, and I'll get to that in a minute. We're talking about the upcoming City Council hearing on furloughs and the fiscal emergency the city is in. But we should never lose track of the single most important fact, which is we're still under an emergency health order from the governor. The health crisis isn't over. It won't be over for a while. And once this is over, we have to be very conscious that in other parts of the world, there's been a second wave that was worse than the first. So I'm as eager as you are to see our city rebound, rebuild, and come back to life. And there's some things that are happening that are very hopeful on that account already. But we haven't made it through this rough white water we're in right now. We're in a patch of very rough white water. It's a rapids. We're responding to changes from day to day, sometimes from hour to hour. And in the course of doing that, the main thing to remember is the simple rules of dealing with a health emergency. Get yourself a mask that fits, that covers your nose, your mouth, gets underneath your chin. Wear it when you go out in public. We're increasingly seeing European countries, the entire nation, adopt rules around wearing masks. Germany, France, among others, are saying if you go on a public transit vehicle, you're obligated to wear a mask. One of the major airlines, when they reopen, has already said anyone who flies on their airplanes will be required to wear a mask. So now's the time to get used to it and adopt it as the new practice for staying safe. Remember to have some trusty hand sanitizer with you. If you go out, you don't wash your hands before you go out, keep a little hand sanitizer in your car. Wash your hands when you get out of the car, when you get back in, if you've taken a walk, if you had a bike ride, a walk with your dogs. Big shout out to Councilor Lindell, who has a new dog, by the way, a boxer named Sugar. And Sig and her partner are in dog heaven, so that's a good thing. If you do go out and walk your dog, when you get home, use the hand sanitizer. Keep 6 feet distance. These are rules we're all beginning to get used to. We know the routine. We're following the routine. That's why we're racking up a couple of days in a row of 0 new cases. If you look at the criteria nationwide for when a state or a community can reopen safely, it's when you've had a run of 2 weeks and you're really recording 0 after 0, goose egg after goose egg for new cases. That's what we want to see. And the way you do it, Stay at home if you don't need to go out. Make essential trips only. If you do go out, follow those simple rules of wearing a mask, wash your hands, cover up your sneezes, your coughs, use hand sanitizer, wash your hands many, many, many times a day. Don't touch your face. We'll get through it. We will get through it. And right now, we are very fortunate. We're very blessed. So far, Santa Fe County has 0 fatalities from COVID-19. This is a disease that is claiming innocent people, older people, young people all over the world. Santa Fe County right now, we have 0 fatalities from COVID-19. Now, in addition to Sig's new puppy, there's some other good news. Another piece of good news, I was talking to the head of Santa Fe Tourism, Randy Randall, this morning. He pointed out that we are now seeing several of our major hotels setting dates for themselves to reopen. They have said it's time to begin to open our doors, still under limitations as to how many guests could be at the hotel, recognizing everything's not fine, we're not through this, but you could have that limited number of people staying at the hotel. Keep any given room empty for a period of time, 3 days, to make sure that that room is cleaned and sanitized. But the Inn of the Anasazi is ready to look at their reopening. Hotel Santa Fe looking at their reopening. This is a feeling that we are getting toward the next phase. We are feeling like if we're continuing to stay focused, we'll get on the good side of the COVID-19 crisis, and then we'll begin to address the aftershocks from COVID-19, which were and still are the economic impacts of this disease. Now, a couple of things that I'm happy to share with you. Number one is I got an email yesterday from the governor's office asking me to sit on the group of mayors who will be on the mayor's advisory body for the governor. Her chief of staff has already reached out. John Bingaman has sent out a follow-up saying, here's the date for the mayors who have been asked to be on that committee to get together with a virtual meeting to talk through a process that works with the mayors to begin thinking through how each city and all cities will collaboratively reopen. That's a good sign. The other thing that I get a chance to do on your behalf tomorrow, the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and Santa Fe is a member, has asked me to make a presentation with 5 other mayors to the chairman of the Congressional Ways and Means Committee and present the case from mayors across the United States why we need help from the federal government now to deal with the fiscal impacts on our budgets. And that is, I have to say, as I watch our numbers stay 0 and hope they do stay 0, we now have to begin to look as a city government, as your representative, how do we balance our budget? We've got between now and the end of June to come up with $46 million to balance our budget. This is not like the last Great Recession where we slowly glided into a recession that was very deep and very prolonged. This was a sudden step off of a cliff and a straight drop down. We went from fantastic numbers in February, where we had occupancy in our hotels that were 90+% and getting ready for a summer of our great festivals and the opera and the fiesta. Our markets were going to open. We were going to have a great summer, to everything shut down because of the health emergency. Now, if you remember, the first thing we did as a city government was to respond to the health emergency, and that was to send all of our employees home, give them the tools to work from home if they could. If they couldn't, give them the assurance that if they came into work, they'd be safe. And for those employees who were sent home because our rec centers were closed, our libraries were closed, our convention center was closed, our parking facilities were closed, we asked them to go home and we paid them administrative leave. It cost about $300,000 of administrative leave over 2 weeks. And in the process of calculating that, we began to look at a plan to stabilize the city's expenditures to match the revenues that have stopped coming in. And we put together a plan. We cut new hiring and promotions. That'll save us about $2.5 million. We cut spending. That means all of the vendors, the merchants, the companies that do business with the city, we're stopping those contracts, we're delaying those contracts, we're stretching out those contracts. Those vendors, those merchants, they didn't do anything wrong. We just can't afford to continue to spend like that. That's about a $25 million impact on those merchants. We also have recently gotten an email in our finance department from the ratings agencies that rate the city's credit. And as 2,100 or more cities across the country deal with budget deficits and layoffs, pink slips, these rating agencies are deciding whether those cities, all of those cities, including Santa Fe, will keep their credit rating. Credit rating is a very important part of how a city does business. When we go out with a bond issue to fix our streets or pay for better park equipment or to add to our resources for street lighting becoming sustainable, we are either a good credit risk or a less good credit risk. The better credit risk we are, the cheaper that money is for you and for me. Right now, the city of Santa Fe has a bond rating of AA+, very good bond rating. The people who do those bond ratings want to know, what's the city's plan for balancing the budget? Are we willing to tighten the belt, or are we going to continue to spend? So we are responding to them. We're responding to the vendors who are going to be asked to accept the fact that $25 million in spending won't happen. We're responding to you as a taxpayer, as a resident, to prove to you that we're using your tax dollars with great responsibility, with great thought, with great care. We're responding to the needs of our department heads, most of whom are working overtime and are now taking a 4-hour-a-week furlough. We're responding to the needs of our workforce. That's the police union, the fire union, our non-unionized employees, and our AFSCME employees. All of those are constituency groups. Those are stakeholders. And the City Council and I, as the governing body, we are the board of directors, trying to make sure that you as a taxpayer have confidence in the plans we make to balance the budget. Our vendors, as our business partners, understand the situation we're in and why we have to stop $25 million worth of spending with them. We're responding to the people who rate the city's credit worthiness to demonstrate that we will be back in the bond market in the future, and we want their trust to drive down the cost of that money to make our payments lower. We want to continue to demonstrate to our department heads that we believe in them, we value them, we trust them to do the hard work of keeping the city going even when our resources are reduced. We want to make sure those essential services of picking up solid waste, of making sure the water, when you turn it on, is clean and pure and drinkable, that our parks are useful. Even though we've shut down some of the facilities, you can go for a walk safely in our parks. Our police and fire department, public safety is always our highest priority. We want to make sure those people know, as first responders, we have their backs. So those are all the factors that we're trying to work through as we get to a $46 million budget hole. And I'll be talking to the chairman of Ways and Means of the U.S. Congress about that tomorrow with 5 other mayors. And then tomorrow night in a city council meeting that you're invited to virtually attend, the council will be evaluating a plan that would be a furlough plan for city employees and department heads designed to help us meet that $46 million shortfall. It won't get it done. There's more to be done to find the rest of the money, and our finance department is working on that now. But I have to tell you that I am very proud of this government. I'm very proud of the people I work with. I'm very proud of our department heads who are coming to terms with this challenge, our finance department and our human resources department looking for ways to be both compassionate and empathetic to the people who work for the city and also fiscally responsible as we balance the books. It's not either or, it's both and. We have to prove that this city government leads with the heart, like the heart that was on the sidewalk, but also understands the brutal facts of life when it comes to balancing the budget. And those things have to be handled together. We will be voting on that tomorrow night. Please listen in for a very, I'm sure, very thoughtful deliberation by the governing body as we take up a hard problem. It's hard to make a hard decision, and it's hard to deal with the emotions of those decisions because we really care about each other as people. We really care about our whole community. And we know that we're all in this public health emergency together. You know, somebody said to Andrew Cuomo, the mayor of New York, or the governor of New York, a little while ago, they said, "Governor Cuomo, this economic shutdown is terrible. The cure is worse than the disease." And Governor Cuomo said, "Not if the disease ends up in somebody losing their life." And that's the bottom line. I know we're going to get through this. I know we're going to rally as a community. We'll find the money, we'll balance the budget, we'll come together, we'll continue to deliver the essential city services that you depend on, that you deserve, that make living in Santa Fe so special, better than any place on earth. We'll get there. The goal is to get there together and with no loss of life to COVID-19. Thankfully, blessedly, we are so far without loss of life. Please remember to stay safe. Please remember, if you can do it, to stay at home. When you go out to run an essential errand, please have your own mask. Please have your own sanitizer. Please remember to wash your hands. Don't touch your face. 6 feet of distance is the prescribed social distancing. Be generous. Be considerate. I know that logically we know what to do. We all have it in our minds what to do. Let's face it, these are hard and stressful times for everybody, whether it's because of a financial emergency, you lost somebody, or you're worried about somebody you love who has really gotten swept up in COVID-19. We're worried about our future. We're worried about our kids' futures. We're worried about our grandparents, how they're doing with a disease that tends to attack older people. We got to take a deep breath. We've got to find our balance as individuals and as a community. We've got to be generous and patient. There's a lot of emotions burbling up in everybody. Emotions of sadness, of loss, of fear, of unknown futures. All of that's true. None of that changes the fact that we're going to make it. We're going to get there. We're going to get on the other side of this. We're going to find our way forward. These hotels are going to start to open. We'll have rules for opening up other parts of our city. It'll begin to percolate back to life. We will look back on this period and say, Santa Fe County did it as a group, as a community, as one full body working together. We made it to the other side. We're not losing our focus. We're not going to give way to a second wave. We're going to be mindful that this disease does not yet have a cure. But we want to find our way forward in a way that gives us a reminder of who we are, of what our values are, of what our shared aspirations are, what our history and culture tells us, and how we get there together. I'm very, very proud of how we're doing. 0 fatalities, 0 new cases several days in a row. Stay the course. Remember to stay calm and kind. Remember to be generous of spirit. Help those who are less well off. And whenever possible, do the right thing to stay safe, stay healthy, and if you can, to the greatest extent possible, stay home while we get through this process of making it through the health emergency. We'll then solve the economic emergency next. We're all in it together. Thanks for everything you're doing to keep Santa Fe strong, healthy, and safe. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.